Mr. Gillum, I'll give you a chance to respond now.
Well, let me first say, my grandmother used to say a hit dog will holler, and it hollered through this room. Mr. DeSantis has spoken. First of all, he's got neo-Nazis helping him out in this state. He has spoken at racist conferences. He's accepted a contribution and would not return it from someone who referred to the former president of the United States as a Muslim, Nigger. When asked to return that money, he said no. He's using that money to now fund negative ads. Now, I'm not calling Mr. DeSantis a racist. I'm simply saying the racists believe he's a racist.
Mr. DeSantis, if I would ask the audience.
The problem that I saw with Parkland was a failure at multiple levels of government, at the local level, at the federal level with the FBI, and yet here we stand. Nobody has been held accountable yet. When I'm governor, we are going to bring accountability in, and I'm going to make sure that folks are held accountable when they drop the ball.
Mr. DeSantis, thank you. Mr. Gillum, would you have signed that bill?
What I would have done is push for a stronger bill. And Mr. DeSantis should acknowledge he's endorsed by the NRA, another entity of which he is wholly accountable and owned by. When I took on the NRA, they sued me and drugged me through court for 2 years, all because we had a city ordinance which said you could not shoot guns in city parks. When we win this race, it'll be simple. It's not a threat to the Second Amendment. If you want to own the power of God at your waist belt, you ought to have a background check. If you are a domestic violence abuser convicted, you shouldn't have a gun that you can snuff out the lives of your loved ones. When our parents drop our kids off at school, we should have an expectation that we will be able to pick them up alive.
That's time, Mr. DeSantis.
Indeed.
Deliver to the people of Florida when you say, I want to expand Medicaid to these people.
Absolutely. So we should begin by saying that the Senate, under Republican control, actually passed Medicaid expansion by a vote of 39-1 under Republican leadership. We deserve to expand Medicaid and offer access to health care for over 800,000 of the most medically needy people in our state. And if we do that, we will pull down $6 billion from the federal government that will go into this state's health system so we can hire more doctors, more nurses, more nurse practitioners, more healthcare workers. This means something to me. I remember having to wait for the free dental clinic to come through my neighborhood in order to have my teeth cleaned. I would expect that the elected representatives in the House and in the Senate would do the work of the people of this state, suspend with the philosophical differences, and go and act on their behalf. My opponent in Congress voted over a dozen times to repeal the Affordable Care Act. He told a cancer patient, when concerned about how they were supposed to get access to health care, to go to the emergency room. My opponent also said that he would allow insurance companies to discriminate based off of pre-existing conditions.
Mr. Gillum, thank you. Mr. DeSantis, the U.S. Census reports that last year, just under 13%, more than 1 in 10 Floridians don't have health insurance right now, about 2.5. Now, this week, we know the subpoenaed text messages from a lobbyist who was your longtime friend, appear to show a high-priced ticket to see the Broadway show Hamilton came from the undercover agent and not from your brother, as you stated. The question is for you, did you know when you took that ticket from your brother in the lobby of the Richard Rogers Theater on 46th there in Manhattan, that an undercover agent posing as a developer had paid for the ticket and was gifting it to you?
Yeah, I know this has been a great theme of news today, and so I want to set it straight, especially for the benefit of my opponent. One, I did go and see Hamilton. I was aware that Adam Corey and Mike Miller arranged so that we could go and see the show. I arrived at the theater and received my ticket from my brother. The problem that I have is that I should have asked more questions to make sure that everything that had transpired was above board. I was informed by my brother at the time that he gave Adam Corey tickets to a Jay-Z, Beyonce concert, of which I understand they took later, and I understood that to have solved whatever the issue was with regards to the expenses associated with it. But I take responsibility for not having asked more questions. But let me I'm running for governor. In the state of Florida, we got a lot of issues. In fact, we got 99 issues, and Hamilton ain't one of them. I get that this is what my opponent wants to discuss, but I would ask him, what happened to the $145,000 in receipts of public taxpayer money that he has yet to reveal?
Your time is up, Mr. Gillum. Mr. DeSantis, I'm going to let you talk in just a second, but I have a follow-up for you, and that is, how will you assure Florida voters tonight